Hi everybody, it's me, Egil Thorson with...
Bragi Magnuson, the son of Magnar.
It's a bit of a change today because Bragi will be telling you about the history of this next item. Bragi, we did the Raghnall Chalice. Are there any more chalice hoards?
Yes, there's another chalice, and it's called the Derrynaflan Chalice. Have you heard of that chalice?
No, I'll be honest,
I'm
I
surprised. It's yet again, it's another fantastic piece of artwork from the early Anglo-Saxon monks, and we're going to talk about it in this brief video. And this is continuing the series covering British hoards, although this is an Irish hoard. So let's talk about it.
So, was it found?
The hoard was found on the 17th of February by Michael Webb and Son, whilst metal detecting the ancient monastic site of Derrynaflan, with permission, of course, from the landowner. So, first of all, I'd like to say thank you very much to Michael for finding this superb and wonderful item, and we will be including pictures in this video.
So, whereabouts is Derrynaflan?
Well, that's near village of Killinall. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, but I may not be. And Derrynaflan is a small island of dry land in a surrounding area of peat bog in the townland of Lurgo, County Tipperary.
Ah, Tipperary.
Have you been to Tipperary?
No, I've been to Closmacnoise, which you...
Yes, in the previous video on the Raghnall Chalice. And you will see that linked in the card at the end. So, the monastery was an important foundation in the period preceding the Viking Age, and the remains of the monastery date from the later era. So that's quite interesting, really.
Yeah.
It's a later monastery.
Yeah. So, what do the academics have to say about it?
Well, the Derrynaflan Chalice dates from the 8th and 9th century, and this is found as part of five liturgical vessels.
Liturgical, yeah.
Yes. But what are they? Do you know what they are?
What, liturgical
Yes,
vessels?
vessels.
Only guessing. The vessels will be what you receive the sacrament in. You know,
Yes.
the goblet that you drink, the bowl that holds the sacrificial wafers. You know, when you take the sacrament,
Yes.
you eat the body of Christ, drink the wine.
I got the idea that the bowls fit in each other, but I could be wrong there.
Could possibly be, yeah. I know that when they bury bishops, I think even today, they have a series of bowls dressed in the full ceremonial get-up. If you want to see examples of that, you go to York Minster in the museum there.
Oh, of course so,
Yeah.
yes. And it's amazing how things haven't really changed in that aspect to a degree.
Well, I
But
mean,
that's another subject.
Yeah.
According to historian Michael Ryan, the hoard represents the most complex and sumptuous expressions of the ecclesiastical art style of the early medieval Ireland as we know it in its 8th and 9th century maturity. So again, it shows you the talent of these Irish monks, you know, in the 7th, 8th and 9th centuries. They can manufacture a beautiful item like this. It's amazing to me.
I've seen both the Sutton Hoo and I've seen the Irish stuff. Sorry, Sutton Hoo. The Irish stuff is far better. It's amazing what detail there is in there.
Definitely so, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's got to be something to stand out.
It's yet again, it's going to another level of craftsmanship. I mean, we all see Sutton Hoo, we all know that, but yet again, this kind of shows you that the Irish, you know, were so much more advanced. And you can understand why the early Middle Saxons were very fond of finding and getting hold of Irish items like this.
Here's a question I wanted to ask you. I mean, it seems so obvious. You get into a subject,
Yes.
you forget to ask the right, why are these things buried?
Well, it does make you think, you know, why was it buried? Was it buried in a rush, you know? Was it buried because of the climate at the time was very unstable?
Could well be.
When was it buried?
The thing is, was it buried to retrieve? You know, when was that?
Yeah, well, we don't know when it was buried. I'm speculating it was buried before the 10th century, in my mind.
Yeah.
But I think other people speculate it may have been buried a bit later.
Wasn't our Scandinavian friends who dropped in to say hi, was it?
Well, let's just carry on, and we'll read a bit more of what we've got down here for you written. The Derrynaflan Chalice was found with a composite silver pattern dish plate.
Yeah, that's what that goes on top of the chalice.
Yeah, a hoop that may have been a stand for the silver pattern, a liturgical strainer.
Because the wine obviously has got bits in it.
Yeah.
We forget today, don't we? I mean, you go to the supermarket, you buy a bottle of wine, there's no sediment, whereas in reality...
Yes, I suppose back in the day you would want a strainer, and that kind of makes sense. I was wondering about that, so thanks. That's kind of answered that question for me.
Well, it's like everything else, it's done at source, so you don't have to worry about it.
As well as the liturgical strainer, there was also a bronze basin that was inverted over the other objects to protect them.
Could be to wash your hands or a mobile font, who knows? But certainly they're washing the hands. And there are certain occasions, although they're not. I think it's Maundy Thursday where the priest washes the feet of the poor.
Yes.
Mimicking what Jesus did. Sounds amazing. Is it comparable to any other hoard? Or is it
well, it's certainly comparable to the Raghnall Chalice. I mean, it's often speculated that they was manufactured by the same people. But let's just carry on. We've got a few more things to talk about. So the hoard is among the most important surviving examples of insular metalwork. I think that's fair to say that. And now we get to the bit where we talk about when the hoard was meant to be secreted. So the hoard was meant to be, or probably secreted, during the turbulent 10th to 12th century, when the Viking raids and dynastic turmoil led to the occasion where valuables were hidden like this.
It wasn't always just the Vikings. I mean, we'll go back to classical noise. Vikings raided 7 times. Irish pirates raided 27 times. So
well, there you go.
Basically, you understand, these things are so precious. Anybody's going to try and take them if they can.
Well, of course so. And this is why you'd end up, you want to leave this in a church to be found. I mean, let's face it. I mean, even in a church you're raiding it, you'd be going to be putting up stones and all sorts trying to find stuff.
That's why the big tower, the doorway is 15 feet from the ground. You have a ladder.
Yes.
But,
well, I think we're going to make a video on that at some point. So
it makes you wonder what great treasures have been lost.
Well, of course so. What's ended up in the melting pot and is now another object.
Yeah.
Now, the early and late centuries, 10th century, are marked by a particular concentration of hoarding in Ireland. So I find that quite interesting, that there seemed to be a trend of hoarding.
It would lend itself to suggest that, yes, there's something going on.
A lot of turmoil.
Yeah, I mean, people invading, like you say, dynastic wars. You can imagine, I mean, cattle stealing was a big thing in Ireland. So you think, well, we're in the monastery, let's have a few bits and pieces.
And as we have said earlier, it's often compared with the Raghnall Chalice. If you get a chance to go and see the Raghnall Chalice, or indeed the Derrynaflan Chalice,
so where is that?
I urge you to go and do it. Well, I believe both chalices are on display in the National Museum of Ireland in Dublin.
All right.
And I think overall, this is a fantastic piece of craftsmanship. It really does show how colourful and how talented they were.
They had a skill, didn't they, that is unique to Ireland.
Indeed it did.
I mean, you see, I'm not dissing the Sutton Hoo stuff, but when you look at the two together, which I was lucky enough to do, you can see there's a lot more gone into it than that, although there's no way I could even think of doing the Sutton Hoo stuff.
I mean, to begin with, having the whole concept of making a chalice, I mean, you don't just suddenly one day say, oh, that's it, I'm going to make a chalice this week. The amount of planning, the amount of work got into making something like this, it really is amazing. Really.
I mean, the silver itself, where you've got to transfer it from ore or other objects that are melted, you've got to make it into sheets.
Oh yeah, and no doubt we could really talk, into the manufacturing of this item.
Well, you're more hands-on in that sort of area than I am.
But for now, this is enough. I think we've just given you the basic information of the Hoard series, and we do promise to make more videos on British hoards. There's over 3,000 of them.
So if they want to leave a comment, how do they do it?
Well, you can leave a comment in the traditional way of a normal standard comment, or you can leave a comment, #Hoards.
And of course, don't forget, if you want to subscribe, press the subscription
or you can
bell.
leave a #Derrynaflan Chalice to show your support and love of this beautiful, wonderful object.
Well, of course, please send us your comments. It will take time because we get so many comments, and we will get back to you. And I think now's the time to say goodbye from me.
It's goodbye from me. Bye.